everyone! Good afternoon and welcome to STABILO Creative Lettering Facebook Live session. So, for this afternoon, we'll be having a short session. I'll be showing some techniques about creative lettering. So, I'll be using STABILO products like Pen 68, Point 68, STABILO Boss Pastels, and many more. So, let's start. But before that, of course, I'll be showing first the materials. And by the way, I'm your teacher for today. I'm Paula Esteron, Paula_Koala in Instagram, and I'm your teacher for this afternoon. And just a short background, I'm actually a visual artist and calligrapher here in Manila since 2013. So, already? Okay, so I'll be discussing about the materials for now. For the materials for creative lettering, don't worry, this hobby or this art form is really for beginners. So we'll be starting with point 88 as well here. So point 88 has 41 regular colors and 6 neon colors. So I'm holding a mini version of the point 88. Point 88 pens also has different sets. We also have the pastel set. We also have this set which has, I think, 20 colors here. 20 colors, and then the neon set here. So when you see point 88, it's really for fine writing or fine drawing, like doing the details, or for journaling. For regular writing, because it writes in 0.4 millimeters. So, if you want to see how it writes, so here are more sets of point 88. So, when you're using point 88, the writing actually looks like this. So, this is point 88. As you can see, it's really thin. It's really for fine writing or fine drawing. This one. So it's 0.4 millimeters in thickness. Of course, for the creative lettering session, we also have, we will also be using this one, Pen 68. So for the Pen 68, we have 46 colors. That includes already the regular colors, the pastels, and the neon ones. So, I'm holding right now Pen 68. So, as I have said earlier, these are the sets. We have the pastels. And also this set, as you can see, there's neon there. Yes, this one is the neon color sets. And of course for the regular colors. Of course, don't forget, we also have Pen 68 in tin can edition. So here, it's actually a good gift set for your special loved ones, especially if they are into arts. So it says 50 colors because there are some colors which are duplicated. I think black colors, the darker colors. Anyway, for
color parade,
we also have this set, the color parade, which has 20 colors that you can just put it in your table side because it has a nice packaging. So you can just open it like this one. Just have to press the button. Yeah, so it's 20 colors, 20 regular colors. we have 50. So I'll show it as well. So we have 2 layers of pens, and that already includes the pastels and the neon here. Okay. Of course, we'll be using, in our creative lettering set, we will also use, of course, the pen 68 and .88 pens also have their mini versions. So we also have the pen 68 and .88. Don't worry, it's not just for kids. Everyone can use it, especially if you're into traveling. If your pens or materials take so much space in your luggages or travel bags, you can use these mini versions of pen 68 and .88. Of course, in our creative lettering kit, we also have the pencils. So we have Othello, which has different grades.
14.
So for now, 14 different grades. For now, I'm holding 2B and F and 6B. So I think the bigger the number is, it means softer lead,
Yes.
and darker shading.
Yes.
We can also use, if you have it at home, you can also use the Stabilo balls, the neon colors, the original ones. So aside from the pastels, here are the pastels. For pastels, we have 6 colors. So I'll be swatching it also. So for pastels, here are the 6 colors. Here. It's also the same as the regular neon or the Stabilo Boss Originals. It's almost the same, it's just that it's a pastel version of it. And I'll show you how the pen 68 write as well. So this is the pen 68. As you can see, it's fiber tip, and it has a water-based dye ink. All Stabilo products has water-based dye ink. So here. So when you say water-based, it means you can actually wet it or activate it with water, or you can actually blend it easily. So for the pen 68, as you can see, it's thicker than the .88 because it has 1 millimeter thickness. So here. And of course, we'll also use a sketchbook. So let's proceed to. So in summary of the materials, we have this creative lettering kit, which I'll be discussing more about it at the end of our live session. And don't worry, don't forget that after watching my live demo, I'll be offering you a special discount code. Oh, that's already the clue. It's a discount code. About what? It's a secret first. You have to watch until the end of my demo first. But yes, all of the materials I've shown earlier, this is the creative lettering kit. Sketchpad, .88 and pen 68, Othello, eraser, and Stabilo pastels. Now let's proceed to techniques before we actually go into a lettering process. But I'll show you first some of my works. So I'm pretty sure you have seen this already. You've seen this already here. And this one. So I'll be doing some techniques first. Now let's start with an overlaying technique. So when you say overlaying technique, so here is the first color, wherein I'll be overlapping it with the second color. But instead of starting here at the end of the first color, I'll be coloring it here. And it goes the same with the third color, but instead of starting with at the end of the previous color, I'll be overlapping it to have it more seamless blending. Now the next technique is having gradient. So when you say gradient, it's the same color, but it creates two-tone. So here, so I'll make this one darker first, and with the use of a brush and water, I'll wet the brush first, and we'll try to pull out the color. So we'll try it with another color, perhaps this one. We can actually activate the color by wetting it. Here. So as you can see, there are other colors around the original color I've made earlier. Now, if you want to blend colors, two colors, you can actually do the first technique we did earlier. So this one. So you can see I overlap the colors, and then I'll wet this part so that you cannot see the streaky lines. Hindi nyo makikita yung lines at magbe-blend sila naturally. So if you're going to compare it with this one, pag nag-dry na to, mas makikita nyo mas natural yung blending nito compared to this one. Then, the next technique we have is by using the ink of the pen. So, how do you actually do that? You can get any surface like plastic or acrylic, or you can actually work sa palette nyo. So, kung ito yung gagamitin ko, I'll be just getting the ink. But since I've mentioned earlier, water-based nga siya, you can actually like get it. Pwede nyo kunin by doing this. So, parang smudge nyo yung tip ng pen. Then, this would serve as paint. So, it would work like watercolors. But of course, don't forget to use brush as well. So here, and you can actually work with two colors as well. Same process lang, pwede nyo ilabas yung ink by swiping it in any surface na smooth, like acrylic, like what I'm using right now, like palette. So if you're going to blend it with two colors, you can actually apply the wet on wet technique. So when you say wet on wet technique, while the first layer of paint or ink is still wet, you will introduce the new color. Here. So ayan. You can actually use your pen as brush as well. So if this is the ink, I usually start with the lighter color and get the ink. So as you can see here, nakikita nyo yung red na part, which means the darker side of the color. So you can actually use it in coloring as well. Not just the lettering part, but also coloring. So kung mahilig kayo mag-shadow sa mga letters nyo, you can actually use this technique. And don't worry about the tip of your pen. Dahil water-based nga siya, if you want to like remove the dark color, pwede nyo lang siyang pwede kayong kumuha ng extra paper to remove the red ink. So, I'm not sure if ganun siya kakita sa video, but nawala na yung red ink na ginamit ko earlier. So, one more time. So, lalagay ako ng red ink here. If you're doing this technique, make sure na lagi kayong nag-start sa lighter color. So, if this is red, and right now I'm using orange, so I can get the ink here and start coloring. Or you can actually do that in gagawa ko ng letter para may gradient effect yung letter ng gagawin. Now, the next technique I'll be showing you is creating textures in your letters, which means you will smudge your work or lift it with the use of tissue. So we'll start with lifting colors first. So para mas kita, I'll be working with darker colors. So let's say mag-work ako with letter P. Para magawan siya ng texture. So, I have to fill in this first. It should be really, really dark. Don't worry sa paggamit ng pen. Matagal naman maubos ang ink ng STABILO products. Here. So, you will let it dry for a few seconds lang. Then after that, you will use brush again with water. Perhaps I will make a texture. Random texture. Siguro ang gagawin kong texture is parang yung dotted or polka dots. So when you leave the colors while it's still wet, you have to blot it with tissue. So I have tissue here. So pagka-dry nung artwork, makikita nyo may dots later or may mga bilog. May maliliit na circles dyan sa letter P. I will show it close up later after mag-dry nito. So, basically, yung technique na yan is like doing this one. So, kailangan sobrang dark yung pagkakagawa nyo. And, I'm not sure lang kung gano'n siya kakita. And by the way, the pen, for those who are asking, the brush pen is from Zaymatin. Here. So we will let it dry first. Then of course we can also have this technique called smudge. Here, this is what it's supposed to look like. So this is the lifting technique, wherein I have to fill in the letters first, and then after filling it with color, I use pen 68 for that, by the way. While it's still wet, habang basa pa yung nilagay kong water doon, I blot it with tissue para magkaroon ng ganitong klaseng texture. Okay. And then the next technique we'll have is smudge, making smudge. So let's say we have letter T. By the way, if you're doing this technique, for those who are asking, you can use it. You can use just the coloring part or technique in any paper. But if it involves, pag may water na or painting part na, you can always use watercolor paper. I would suggest 200 GSM yung thickness ng paper. At least 200 GSM. So here, let's say, nandun na tayo sa smudging technique. So dahil nga water-based yung ink ng pen, yeah. But I'll show it here on the sketch pad first. But as you can see, medyo light lang yung colors na lumalabas. But if you're using it in watercolor paper, if you're going to compare the output, that's why it's better to always use something that is thicker, yung mas makapal na papel. Here. So, mas nag-smudge or mas makalat yung colors. Now, for the hand lettering part, you can actually make a shadow. Ayan. So, parang may instant shadow yung letter nyo. Of course, always make sure na your brush is wet para magawa nyo yung effect na to. Ayan. So, as you can see, medyo magkaiba yung output pag medyo manipis lang yung paper compared when you're using watercolor paper. Don't worry all the details about where you can buy the materials. I will discuss it at the end of my session. So, here are the possible outputs that you can do with all the techniques that I did earlier. So, this one, as you can see, looks like a watercolor effect, looks like a watercolor work. Because of this technique, remember, I used a palette, or this one is acrylic in my case, wherein nilabas ko lang yung ink from the pen by smudging it or scratching it. And then, I will use that ink as paint. This is the effect. And this technique, the second one, makita nyo parang basa siya or parang may blot siya. It's because of this technique I did earlier, wherein I have to drop water or wet the letters with brush to have this effect. And of course, I also have this one. If makikita nyo yung outline ng letters, I used 0.88 for that, for the outline. And for these letters, for the pastels, aside from highlighting your textbooks, your journals, you can actually use your STABILO pastel highlighters here. So I use this for this one. Kung ano yung pinakitang technique for the pen 68 and 0.88 earlier, you can actually do that in your highlighters as well. It doesn't matter if you have the regular ones, this one, or this one. Pareho lang silang water-based. And don't worry, you can also read a complete review of these highlighters in my blog, www.paulaestron.com. I have a detailed review about that. So, you can actually use this for hand lettering, coloring, aside from educational purposes like highlighting. And lastly, before I do a live output, this part is from STABILO pastels here. And this technique is lifting. After you you fill in the letters with the color, probably it should be better kung darker yung color. Then lift it with a tissue to have this kind of texture. It's up to you kung anong klaseng shapes ang gagawin nyo sa letters. You can actually use pwede nyo padahilan parang bark ng tree or trunk ng tree ito. But this one, it gives a feel na this letter has the textures of parang fur ng bears. Yan. So, I'm not sure if you can see it closely, but it has textures like fur of a bear. So, uso ang We Bear Bears ngayon. I made creative lettering for We Bear Bears fans out there. Okay. So, this time I'll be doing an output. So, while I'm doing the output, you can drop your hi and hellos and also your questions while I'm doing the final output. But of course, when you're starting your hand lettering, don't forget that from the creative lettering kit I've shown earlier, merong Othello pencil doon. So, for now, I'll be using a 2B pencil for me to draft the lettering output. So, when you're doing your hand lettering output, make sure na super light din ng pencil draft nyo. And right now I'm using a STABILO eraser, but don't worry, in your kit you have the legacy eraser. Hope you guys are still watching, because at the end of my demo, I'll be announcing a surprise for you guys na pwede nyong gamitin. I'll just make my pencil draft a little bit darker or thicker para mas kita nyo dyan sa video. But in real life, when you're working with hand lettering, you actually do it super light lang because once na nag-paint kayo or kinulayan nyo na with markers or pens yung lettering nyo, hindi nyo na mabubura yung pencil marks.
Sir.
So, I'm going to incorporate as hand lettering and some sort of illustration for this output. Of course, I won't forget about calligraphy, but for now, since we are working with markers, I will do some faux calligraphy. So while I'm doing this piece, you can drop your questions. And I hope you are still watching, guys, because I'll be dropping a surprise announcement after this output. So for now, I'm trying to make a text that says wet and wild. Kaya nasabing creative hand lettering because it's not about working with letters lang, but also putting emotions na para pag nabasa ng audience yung gawa nyo, alam niya kung ano yung kino-convey yung message. It's not about having fan letters or decorative letters lang, but also put some emotions when you're or some illustrations para ma-convey nyo na mas maayos yung message ng hand lettering na gusto nyo pakita. So, sa mga kaka-tune in lang, I've shown earlier different sets of pen 68 and .88. And personally, my favorite is pen 68. So, I'm holding right now a color parade set which has a stand. Pwede sa mga mesa nyo. Kahit gano'ng karaming materials nyo, it would just take a small space in your table. So, I'll be using this one, the regular colors first. I'll be applying all the techniques I've showed earlier. So while I'm doing this, you can ask questions in the comment sections of the IG Live and FB Live of my personal account in Paula Koala, the Mighty Paukat, and for the Instagram account of STABILO PH and their official Facebook page. And by the way, congratulations to STABILO PH for reaching 3 million followers on Facebook. When you're filling in colors in your letters, don't forget to do it one stroke as well. Kung paano yung technique nyo on coloring, it's also the same for this one. So, I'm trying to make two-tone letters. So, I'm putting in the darker blue first. Since my works are more nature inclined, so I'm also incorporating it with my output today. For those who just signed in, I'm using STABILO Pen 68 pen. So this pen has fiber tip, water-based dye ink, and it can write in the thickness of 1 millimeter. So it's perfect for illustration, for hand lettering, like what we're doing right now. So I'm also adding a little bit of illustration. Pero dahil ang word na sinusulat ko right now is wet, syempre maglalagay tayo ng illustrations like teardrops, splashes. Yan, this is what happens when sobrang dark ng pencil mark nyo. Kahit takpan nyo siya ng ilang layers of colors, it won't get away. So it's better if you work on something lighter.
What kind of paper are you using now?
I'm using watercolor paper right now that has 300 GSM in thickness. So now, para mas ma-convey na ang meaning ng word na to ay basa. In English, it's wet. You will use the technique I've shown earlier by actually smudging it or doing this.
Ooh, amazing.
So, besides from the smudge effect that you are seeing right now, you can actually like have textures din sa letters nyo. Don't worry guys, kahit IG Live and FB Live ito, everything will be saved, so you can actually watch it, rewatch it later. But of course, I want you guys to stay there, stay tuned, because I'll be announcing special offer later. Para mas marami ng watercolor element, I'm actually using the ink I've got from the pen earlier. So, nasa palette siya. So, I'm using it right now. Now, on to the next line. I'll be doing a faux calligraphy because I'm more into scripts. So when you say faux calligraphy, it still have a downstroke and upstroke, but this time you have to do it manually. That whenever your brush goes or your pen goes down, you have to fill in this part twice para may variation ng thick and thins sa letters niyo. So, kahit hindi brush pen yung marker, still works that way. Here. Now, for the next one, I want to work on the third line with watercolor effect. So, I'll be getting the ink by smudging it in palette or acrylic. It's up to you. Basta smooth surface. Like plastic, you can actually use the ID. You can actually, if you have the color parade set, you can actually use the cover part. here. So I'm removing the ink. I'm getting the ink because I want to work on this part. I will paint that part. So with the use of the brush, by the way, the brush is again from Zig. I'm using a detailer brush, so mas maliit siya compared. I think if ko-convert siya sa paintbrush, perhaps it's number 2 or number 1. So right now I'm using it as watercolor. So if you have questions there, you can put it in the comment section, comment box. We're still live simultaneously in Instagram and in Facebook. So, pang naubos lang, same process lang din. Just swipe it in the surface and then wet your brush to make it as watercolor. By the way, all the STABILO materials I'm using right now are available in all leading bookstores nationwide. Take note, nationwide guys, and it's also available in online, in their official online store, in Lazada and in Shopee. Just search for STABILO. So I'm actually mixing blue and green. So, for the wild na text, I'll be putting some wild leaves like palm leaves or any kinds of leaves that you can see in the wild like forest, jungle. Pareho lang pala yun. So, here I'm coloring a leaf. I hope it would turn out well. So you can actually double your layer to create darker spots, to create an illusion na 3D siya.
Ano daw ito?
This one is actually acrylic. You can, well, you can buy it from bookstores. Pero in frame form siya, naka-frame siya. We actually just cut it. Pero don't worry, you can actually use ceramics or watercolor palettes like this one. So, it's still the same. Basta, kailangan madulas or may varnish yung working spot nyo for the smudging of ink. Okay na yun. Ngayon, if you're in a hurry, if you don't want to like work on the ink always, you can actually use this one. The pen directly from the pen. So we can use pen 0.88 this time. Maybe using that. Brown na 0.88. Okay, so I'll be using pen 68 instead to draw the details of the leaves. And you should actually wait for it to dry first, because if the surface is not dry, medyo nagfe-feather siya. So, yan magiging itsura niya. Because we're working with something smaller details, so we'll be working with 0.88 this time. So 0.88 can also work as, perhaps if you want to outline your letters, because it has a finer tip, you can do this.
Where did you get this stuff? In case na.
For those who are asking where you can actually get this set is really packaged this way, so it has a stand. Don't forget, the name of this set is Color Parade Set, and it comes also with a cover, so you can actually like store it standing this way. So it's Color Parade Set. Don't worry, it still has the same 20 regular colors like the other sets that you can see. Here, so I'm working with smaller details this time. So while I'm finishing this one, you can actually drop more questions in our Facebook and IG Live. And the paper I'm using right now is watercolor paper. Doesn't have to be particular when it comes to brand, but as long as it's 200 GSM and above, that would work with our water-based markers. Now, the only thing I'll be doing this one is to outline the words. So when you like outlining your lettering works, you can use the 0.88. If you're wondering why it's small, because the set I'm using right now is the mini set of 0.88, but they still have it in regular sizes. All STABILO products can be bought in all leading bookstores nationwide. and it's also available online. Just look for Stabilo in Lazada and Shopee. Official stores. No, you have to look for the official stores, not the sellers, not just like other online sellers, but the official store of Stabilo.
Can you store this upright?
You can actually store it upright, but as far as I know, when storing pens, they should be horizontally stored. But perhaps you can store it like this rather than standing up, because you have to let the ink, you have to preserve the ink on the tip part of the pen. So you can store it horizontally like this. Or you can store your pen opposite side like this instead. Para yung ink nasa tip part, hindi siya paakyat on this part. So you can actually store it like this. They just store it this way para mas kita nyo lang yung color swatches. For those who are asking about the brush, the water brush I used earlier, it's from Zig. The paper I'm using earlier is Denise Sketchpad. Don't worry, the Sketchpad is part of the creative lettering kit that is on sale in Lazada. Okay, we're almost done. So here's the final output. So I've applied all the techniques I've shown earlier, smudging it or making texture. I did also a faux calligraphy here, and also getting the ink from the palette by using it as watercolor paint. We can also have this kind of output. So I made another output earlier. So same technique for this one, and for this one is making textures by blotting it with tissue. It's the same technique that I did on this part para maging bare na fur yung texture niya. So I also made it here para parang trunk ng tree yung texture. Here. So don't forget that all materials I used earlier are available in this kit. So this is the creative lettering kit. It's available in Lazada, in Stabilo's official store. So this kit has this sketch pad, the Stabilo Boss pastels, highlighters, and yeah, we had it in primary colors, but in pastels version we have. But originally it has 6 colors. But in this set, I've chosen 3 colors because these colors were my favorites. And we also have 4 colors of .88 and 4 colors of pen 68. But don't worry, even if you only have 8 pens here, I've covered all the colors in the rainbow, so you can use it. You can make your hand lettering more colorful. Of course, for your drafting needs, you have the Othello pencil and also the Legacy eraser. And this kit is 625 pesos in Lazada. It's only available in Lazada, so you can search it there. So everything I've used this afternoon is from this kit. Okay. Any more questions? I will entertain more questions. And for the special offer that I've promised earlier, use the code so of course Stabilo has also a marker, black marker, which has a permanent ink. And for the special offer that you've been waiting for, the code for Lazada, when you shop in Lazada in Stabilo's official store, use this code for 200 pesos off in your minimum purchase of 1,000 worth of Stabilo items. So you can only get this offer in Lazada PH. So the code is, upon checkout, is Stabilo 200. So STABILO 2 and 00. So that's the code for you to get a 200 peso off upon minimum purchase of 1,000 worth of Stabilo items. But remember, this code is only available for February 3 until February 18. So it's a good deal. Which is a good deal for your Valentine's surprise to your loved ones. So it starts today. So it's starting today. You can actually shop at Lazada while using this code. So you just remember that you should have minimum purchase of 1,000 pesos worth of Stabilo items. So it's STABILO 200 to get 200 peso off discount in Lazada PH. Any questions, you can still drop it in the comment sections of our FB Live and IG Live. And I hope you enjoyed the session. So I'll show the two works. Of course, don't forget the discount code in Lazada. It's Stabilo 200. But don't forget to purchase minimum of 1,000 to get a 200 off in your checkout. So I'll be... Don't forget that all Stabilo materials I've used earlier, pen 68.88, the Stabilo Boss pastels are all available in national bookstores. Of course, even this marker I've used earlier. And all Stabilo items I've used earlier are available in leading bookstores nationwide. And don't forget, the creative lettering kit is only available in Lazada. And this code is only available or only applicable in Lazada PH. But remember, it should be from Stabilo's official store. Not resellers, but the official store of Stabilo. And use the code Stabilo 200. Actually, that's the discount already. It should be minimum purchase of 1,000 peso worth of Stabilo items, and you'll get 200 peso off upon checkout. For the paper I used this one, which is included already in the creative lettering kit that is only available in Lazada. But don't worry, if you want to get it individually, it's also available in the leading bookstores nationwide. Don't worry, and any watercolor paper brand is okay.